Greetings and welcome to the BlastCast. I am Jarvis, and with me as always is the man who crosses the streams, Lightning Dragon. We are all excited for CitizenCon next week. We're going to get to see all sorts of new fun stuff, and this is really our Christmas, and just like Christmas, I'm going to have trouble sleeping the night before, most likely. So let's jump into Star Citizen news. This week on Around the Verse, CIG showed us how they intend to resolve the issue of asteroids being too dark to see. They placed ambient lights in various places to give a subtle amount of light to just give enough lighting to see the edges of the asteroids so we have a chance of not just flying smack into them.
You know what else would be nice? I don't know, having a night vision mode either built into the HUD or glass of your ship or maybe into your helmet. So if it's really bad, you just turn on a night vision mode. Because if Arma can do it, I'm pretty sure CIG can do it too.
Yeah, I thought it was an odd solution, and the other part was this maybe brighten up your darks a little bit, when you go into the settings, like you can adjust the gamma and things like that. I tend to raise those up in games because I find that most games, with the exceptions of ones that they're supposed to be dark because they're a horror game or something, they're always just too dark and makes things too unwieldy, so always the first things I kind of move over.
Yeah, and YouTube makes it worse, so anything you see on YouTube is darker than it actually is supposed to be.
They also showed off variations of truck stops, which are, of course, procedurally generated. And truck stops go into the PTU when 3.3 finally gets into our hands.
Which will be never. It's all been a scam. Of course, I'm kidding.
Yeah, I know. But that, you just fed the trolls.
I know, I did. That's why I laughed. Immediately regret saying it. That's okay. I'm sure you'll completely edit it all out in post.
Yeah, this won't be in here at all.
He doesn't. Another thing that I'd like to point out: in real asteroid belts, the asteroids aren't like within a stone's throw of each other. You know, they're hundreds to thousands of kilometers apart from each other. What almost every single video game does, as far as like the density, is closer to like rings of a planet, like, you know, Saturn or something. And that's why they look like rings, is because it's very, very close proximity. You don't see the asteroid belt because they're, you know, dark rocks in the back or black void background of space, and they're not dense enough to reflect light. You don't see them. Video games don't ever get asteroid belts correct.
No, they really don't.
But it wouldn't really be fun to travel, you know, hundreds of kilometers between each rock to try and mine for something.
Well, that, of course, depends on the size of the rock. Like, if it's a wandering asteroid or one or two that are out there, then they're fairly large size. An asteroid field doesn't need to be thousands and thousands of rocks. It could just be 2 or 3 really big ones sitting out there that takes several days to mine down.
Yeah, I mean, you could do it differently and not have, like, little chunks that you just gobble up and move on, kind of like how Eve does it.
Yeah, just think of the FPS you save too. So let's jump into Reverse the Verse. Reverse the Verse was a tour of the constellation Phoenix. They took us to the ins and outs and the ups and downs, especially down to the cargo area, which I thought actually looked really good. I like the new cargo area, how it went from this very kind of luxury wood setting to like hard metal industrial down below. It was a nice contrast. And there's a lot of people pointing out issues where the layout could be better. My only hope is it's just like the 600i, that some changes or revisions are made down the road. Right now, just getting the ships functional up and out there, people can get their hands on them and then they can discuss it in the forums. And hopefully, just like most other ships which have had multiple reworks, this is just your Tier 0 implementation.
Yeah, interior designers, CIG is not.
No. But hopefully they learn through experience. And on to calling all devs, which is pretty quick because it's been a drought. As you know, as we get closer and closer, we get less and less. But this week on calling all devs, pretty much every question I found was pretty interesting. Now, they wanted to know if we would get a coordinate system in the future so we could precisely describe our location in the universe. They stated it is something that they want to do, but they haven't exactly figured out how they want to do it yet. The trick is that all these areas are so massive and so large, the number that you would have to type would be ridiculous. It could have numbers and letters. It would just be a mess. What he was talking about sounds like he wants to break it up into sections, like a certain area or certain large boxes, and within those boxes you would have smaller coordinates. They haven't worked out all the details. They're not exactly sure how they're going to do it yet. They want to do it. We'll get more details as that develops.
Yeah, I mean, even if it's quarter scale or half scale or whatever, I mean, to cube our solar system, I mean, how big are the cubes that you're talking about? Are they 1 AU? Are they 100 kilometers? Are they 10,000 kilometers? Are they 100 million kilometers? There's a lot of area in our solar system, and that's How high do you want to go? Do you want to only go as high as a certain rotation of the planets? Do you want to go as high as it is wide? I mean, that's huge, just monstrous amounts of space.
It's going to take a little bit of work to do something that will relay coordinates in a meaningful and simple way. Personally speaking, I played some games where you just press a button and it'll transmit. Like, for example, I'm going to send an email to Lightning saying, meet me here. And I would press a button on the email attachment and it will just drop the coordinates as an attachment in that email, which you could then utilize in his ship. You know, it's not something you should directly need to type. It's just information that needs to be relayed, like the beacons. So as long as they let us go ahead and mark these locations and save them and transmit them, I don't see this as really being a gigantic problem.
Yeah, the server is most likely going to have that information anyway,
right?
But translating it into something that you can type out that's not, 16,000 characters or something is the different story here, and I think that's what they're trying to do. They either need to condense it into something that's typable or just have it as part of the beacon system.
Yeah, and I still think doing it just as a button press, here's a file, it attaches to it, is much easier than manual typing, cutting or pasting, or any other way. It's just instant, it's quick, you can save it as a bookmark, it's fast. And their question was, if we're salvaging and we come across a fuel tank that is full of fuel, can we use that fuel inside the tank? And their answer is right now, not initially. Later on, it's possible that you may be able to use drones and whatnot. Now, my thoughts on it is you bring a garden hose and you stick it directly in the tank. Now, be aware that quantum fuel does have toxic effects. You have to be careful when you're doing that.
Also, the fact that if you take off your helmet in space, you'll suffocate.
Yeah,
and
there's
then
that
freeze
too.
To death.
Yeah, there's that. That's the other. Yeah, that's definitely the other problem. On to a ship question. They wanted to know, what are the current high-level goals for the Banu Merchantman? Have they changed at all? And they stated it's still going to be a trading ship with shops and things inside of it that players can utilize. It also has quarters for the guests or for the customers for larger negotiation deals that may take a while. So, like, for example, if you had two organizations meeting over a multi-day kind of negotiation for territory in a war or whatnot, they could meet on this ship and have quarters they can log out of and log back into. Which would be, well, that would be like the mother of all negotiations if it wasn't resolved in one game sitting between two factions. That would be a hell of a war. But nonetheless, these options are there to kind of replicate what the ship is made to do inside of the Star Citizen universe normally.
Yeah, I was thinking about it. It's like, the only thing I'd really say is, I mean, the closest comparison you'd have would be Eve, and most of that stuff you don't do face-to-face. So
yeah, exactly.
It's kind of like...
Yeah, that's why I wouldn't get too much more. They said the Banu is big, well-armored, and well-armed, but also incredibly slow, which makes sense.
You can have fast things that are large.
They just can't maneuver very well.
Well, the aircraft carriers, the very first nuclear aircraft carriers, outran its escort ships because it was so fast. There was nothing else that could catch it.
Those things can crank. The water that gets shot up behind those when they open up is ridiculous.
The SR-71 Blackbird, I mean, it's an old design, but I think it still holds the top speed record of an airplane.
That we know.
And it's not a small plane.
Well, actually, yeah. I mean, I know. I've actually been next to one. It's smaller than you would think. I was surprisingly small. It was. Every time I saw the picture, I thought this thing was a monster. I'm like, it's really not. They had the engines capped off, so you couldn't see inside. But obviously, there's a reason for that.
Yeah, high tech, secret.
And lastly, they want to know, when are we going to be able to trade subdued NPCs or players as a commodity? Obviously, part of this question relates to bounty hunting. They want to know when that mechanic's going to go in, when you'll be able to capture somebody, take them to a police station, turn them in. That's still in development. As far as just capturing random NPCs for a slave trade, they said that's probably not going to be a career choice for players.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but can you even hand money to players in the current builds of the game?
No, not yet. That's coming down the line.
So
at least I hope.
This seems like a why don't I have a cart when I don't have the horse yet?
Yeah, a bit. Can we first trade money first before we worry about trading NPCs? Because maybe I want to give you money for that NPC, and I can't even trade you money, then sure as heck can't buy that NPC.
Or yourself, like you're trying to be ransomed by a pirate.
Yeah, there you go. Now later this week, I'm going to be finishing my initial impression videos on Rebel Galaxy before I present my final review. I've actually now finished the game and should be able to give you an accurate assessment of, well, whether or not it's worth it. Also, Lightning Dragon and I continue to taste test bullets on Saturday to determine if they taste great or less filling with Arma Apex.
Lead flavor.
Now next week, there's not going to be a normal BlastCast, because normally the BlastCast comes out on Tuesday and CitizenCon comes out on Wednesday. Also, typically, the Around the Verse prior to the CitizenCon is always about setting up booths, and it's kind of just fluff and filler because they're just holding back everything else just for the show. It's doubtful there's going to be any news of meaning or value, just behind the scenes booth setups and whatever. Now, the same thing goes with the post-CitizenCon Around the Verse. Most likely there won't be a show there either, because it's going to be us taking the booths down, the people at the conventions kind of videos, and that's really all it's going to be. I very much doubt they're going to have any updates after basically firing everything they have at us. Now, I have managed to, for the first time in 5 years, I took time off my job. Now, to do that, I'm running a 7-day stretch, starting basically from the day this video's out all the way through basically Tuesday to Monday again. Now, I'm doing that because I want to be fully available to cover this, to make videos and topics discussing the parts that are in there with enough depth and not just rush job the whole thing. So I'm going to have 5 days to break this stuff down. That's going to be basically a week-long BlastCast. I'll probably label it like A, B, C, or whatever. Now, I plan on covering each panel, and I plan on releasing 1 to 2 videos a day, possibly 3, it depends on the length. Now, topics that are less interesting or maybe more technical and the kind of thing that maybe a lot of people wouldn't be that interested in, or at least I'm not that interested in, might be consolidated into a single video. Lightning Dragon and I are definitely going to be getting into the flight panel. That is going to be a gigantic focus for us, and I look forward to seeing what happens with all that. Also, because there's going to be basically a pile of videos coming out during the course of the week, and it's not my normal practice to just bury you guys alive, I'm going to be temporarily suspending videos from other games during the course of the week of CitizenCon. After that, we'll go back into our quote-unquote normal routine, if there is such a thing. Alright everyone, well that's about it for this week's BlastCast. Kind of a short one, but it's CitizenCon drought. There's not much we can say. As always, leave your comments and suggestions down below. We will read them, and I'll read them. Lightning will not.
I might. I don't know.
He might.
It depends.
It depends. It depends on his mood. And,
or if I remember.
or if he remembers. That's true. All right, guys. We'll catch you next time. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.